So this is the week 28 vlog. So week 28 started with a professional team meeting on Sunday, which I wasn't able to go to because I had speaking clubs. It was pretty cool to see all the teachers together though, because we don't really get to meet up as often as a full company. And I also did a bunch of video editing on Sunday because I have a lot of videos to finish and I'm actually a week behind now because of other things, which I will get to in later videos. But yeah, that was Sunday. And then on Monday, I did my first outdoor workout for spring, I guess. The weather is pretty solidly above 40 degrees now, so I think I'll be able to be outside more often. So anyway, I did the first workout. Did not stretch too well after, so Tuesday was pretty brutal. I was bending down to put on my sneakers and in lots of discomfort because I didn't adequately stretch myself after I finished my exercise on Monday.
When your legs don't work like they used to before.
Which I'm still growing out of that. It's a bad habit that I have from like high school and stuff. I would just go play basketball or football at lunch, or after Pathfinders at church I'd go play or whatever, and I never really need the stretch. I was always just okay. But now after I do like really intense either games or just workouts, I definitely do have to stretch myself. Because I guess I have more muscle mass now than I did as a kid, so whenever I play for a long time, it takes a lot more out of my body, I guess, than it maybe did before. So there's that. And on Tuesday, I was in class. You know, Women's Day happened, and it was coming up, and the teacher asked one of the guys, you know, what do you do for Women's Day? And the kid said sleep. It was funny because I actually like thought that in my mind, like, what does a man do for Women's Day? Sleep. I mean, in the joking way, not seriously, but I thought sleep, and then the kid said out loud, so I like chuckled to myself, and then the whole class was laughing. And then after teaching on Tuesday, I was going back to the train, and I was walking by this guy. The guy had a Philadelphia Eagles jacket on, but I've seen American stuff before. So I'm walking by the guy, and the guy stops and turns to me. He's like, "Hey, are you a Lakers fan?" Because I had on my LeBron Lakers t-shirt. And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm a LeBron fan." But he did in perfect English. I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, you know, I'm from Philly." I'm like, "Oh, snap." So it was this guy named Chad. I didn't get why he was here, but I told him that I was here because I'm teaching English, and he's like, "Oh, cool. You know, like, it's cool to see another American here because, you know, you just don't get to see that often," which you honestly don't. But the fact that I ran to a guy that was also knowledgeable about sports, I guess, and a Chad, which, you know, I've had good experiences with Chads in my life. Like, Chad's one of those stereotypical names that always gets slandered on the internet. Like, Chad is pretty much like another Karen, or I guess the male version of Karen. But anyway, shout out to my guy Chad. If I don't know if he even will see this, but the Chad that I actually do know is a pretty cool dude. But yeah, met Chad. He was really cool. That was a nice experience to have. And then later that day, or well, I guess a half hour later on the train, I was getting close to my stop, and then a guy, I don't even remember if he made eye contact with me, but he just walked up to me, and I had my football with me, and then he was like, "Oh, American football," and I was like, "Yeah," and then he talked to me, and he was saying like it's his dream to, you know, like play American football, and he was asking if he can just touch it. It's like the third or fourth person here that has literally just wanted to touch my football because it's such a novelty here. It's a really interesting thing that the football gets such a reaction here. But anyway, he asked if he could touch it, and then he used like a little bit of English that he knew, and he was saying like, you know, do you play with friends or have a team? And I was saying just kind of play by myself. And yeah, that was that exchange, and then we kind of like saluted each other before I got off the train. But that was another interesting experience that came courtesy of my football. On Wednesday, I was back out to exercise again, this time with the intention to stretch a lot better, which I did do. However, during my Wednesday workout, a familiar face popped up, which was my pastor. So Pastor saw me. He was walking by the track, and he said when he saw me jumping, he looked and he was like, ah, that might be Raymond. Ah, it is Raymond. So he came over and saw me, and then he's like, oh, you're running? And I said, yeah, I'm running. He said, maybe I can time you. I said, okay. So he timed me for my 100-meter dash. I ran two of them, even though they were pretty close. So the second time was significantly worse. But the first one I ran was 11.88. I was a bit happy with myself. That being said, 11.88 is fairly slow. I think that's like a 14-year-old elite sprinter, which I feel I could do a lot better than. So I'm probably going to look to shave time off of that, maybe get down to 11. I feel like if I can get down to 11 for being a non-track person, that'd be pretty good. Moving on Thursday, we had a little bit of a movie night. We saw Ben-Hur, which I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but it was pretty interesting. It's like the story of a Jewish prince during Jesus' time, and he like is influenced by Jesus, and then he gets revenge on his brother for like wronging his family and all that stuff. Pretty interesting movie. Had pizza. Pizza's always nice. But also on Thursday, I wrote a few Women's Day poems to some of the girls closest to me in my life. Those that got poems know who they are, I guess. But yeah, I wrote some poems. That was really nice. Not really a poet. I do like writing poetry, I guess, because I like putting language together in a nice way, and I do like imagery and metaphors and things like that. I like doing special things for the people that I do care about, so it was a pretty nice experience. So shout out to Violetta for forcing us to do it, but it was, I guess, worth the investment. So I did that, and then on Friday I did have to teach, but my goodness. I did have to teach, but it was fun. It was my first Friday in a while, but I enjoyed it. The kids were great. I saw one class I hadn't seen in a while, but they definitely remember me, and thank God I remembered all of their names too. But it was nice to be with them again, and I played a game with them. They were so happy that I was playing a game. I don't know what's been happening with them, but I said, all right, guys, we're going to play a game. And they're like, game? Yes, game. And they're like, thank you, Raymond, thank you. And I was like, okay, like, what torture have you been through that you haven't played a game? Or I don't know. But anyway, they were pretty happy to play a game. And then one girl won a game, so I told her I'd get her, like, a little gift or something like that. I have some American snacks that are here. So if anyone's ever tried these before, maybe you can give me a heads up. I don't know what they are. Dang, where's the, no? Okay. Yeah, so this glare is making it hard to read. But yes, Aussie Bites. Don't know what they are, but I figured I'd let her have it. Sabbath in church. It was Women's Special Celebration Day, so women did like the whole service, including the sermon, which was like probably the best sermon I've heard since I've been over here, honestly. I can't remember the main thing off the top of my head. Okay, so I cheated and I looked, but it was about conflict and conflict resolution, and she was talking about like different reasons that conflict happens, and the reasons are envy. Oh my gosh, I didn't write these down, so I'm trying to remember them. It was like envy, coveting, and something else. But pretty much she said that like conflict comes from us wanting things that we don't need. And that was like, wow. And then she also broke down like the idea of turn the other cheek. And in a nutshell, she was like, if you look at the cultural situation of how you would slap someone, if you turn the other cheek, you would actually have to turn your body around to do that, which means that turning your other cheek doesn't mean just accepting what they do, but it's actually kind of like turning your back to what they're doing. And that, I was like, yo, that's real. So definitely some eye-opening stuff. Dang, I have to get those 3 things that she said, or maybe I'll remember them later. But anyway, that was great. And then also during church, I was sitting next to one of the little ones that we usually have in children's church. We didn't have children's church this week because all the women were inside the church helping, and women are usually ones doing children's church. But anyway, I was sitting next to one of the little ones, Mia, and I don't know, like, she was just kind of like my little sister for the service, I guess. Like, she was there was a keyboard that I was sitting in front of. So like eventually during service, I mean, she's like 5, so she starts playing the keyboard, and then she's like looking at me and smiling and laughing while she does it, and then she's like showing me her toys and stuff. And then like she had these little cat ears that were pinned to her hair, but then she put a necklace on and actually like push one of them off. So then I tried to readjust this thing like 3 different times. It just was not cooperating. Like once she moved it, like her mom had said it perfectly, but it was just not going to hold this position anymore. So I tried and tried, and then the pastor's wife was behind me, and then she was like, oh, you must like really want a daughter, or she's like, you should have a daughter. And I was like, yeah, I would like to have one. But yeah, that was a really sweet moment. I mean, the girl's like adorable. But yeah, that was the week in a nutshell. This week, there's already been some interesting things that's happened. Of course, I can't tell you guys till next week, but stay tuned for that. My language skills are struggling, which is bad because I'm a native speaker. But anyway, I'll see you guys next week.
Oh.